You're listening to Chris Wells' Thriller Cast, your home for laugh-out-loud crime and mystery fiction.
Welcome to Chris Wells' Thriller Cast, a weekly series of mystery and thriller fiction written and performed by author Chris Well. These stories are available in a collection entitled First Shot, 10 Stories by Chris Well. Go to studiowell.com to see how you can download your copy for absolutely free.
In March and April, my Earl Walker mysteries will be available for the first time in the popular ebook format. That includes Nursing a Grudge and Burying the Hatchet and the world premiere of Knocking 'Em Dead. These ebooks will be available for your Amazon Kindle and your Barnes & Noble Nook and your Apple iPad or iPhone and your Mac or Windows PC and any other portable device. These are fair play mysteries where the reader gets all the clues. For fans of Agatha Christie and M.C. Beaton and Murder, She Wrote. Watch for Nursing a Grudge in late March, and then Burying the Hatchet and Knocking 'Em Dead in April. For more information, visit us online at studiowell.com. We continue our serial, Don't Fall for That Trick, a mystery starring husband and wife bookstore owners and amateur sleuths Tom and Darla Book. In the first episode, they were told that country music legend Trick Henderson was in the hospital in intensive care. Then last week, Tom and Darla were at the hospital meeting Trick's family and friends when Darla left the room for a moment, and then a nurse came to Tom with the bad news that his wife had been hurt. And now we bring you part 3 of Don't Fall for That Trick, a bookcases mystery by Chris Well. Darla had taken her cell into the stairwell to make a call. Lost her footing in those high heels she rarely wears, and tumbled. What came next was a blur. Nurses swept Darla into X-ray, rolled her in for the CT scan, set her wrist and her leg. The whole time, Darla kept apologizing for the inconvenience. She was embarrassed and showed it by talking even more than usual. But all the chatter was okay, considering. Darla had gotten a decent-sized bump on her noggin. The CT scans were a precaution. I'm certain hospital administration was doing everything it could to avoid a lawsuit. Until we knew for sure whether Darla had a concussion, she needed to stay awake. We had to keep her talking. Thank God Becky Henderson was there for Darla to latch onto. Besides, it wasn't like Becky could help her brother Trick right then. He was still unconscious in ICU. The best anyone could do was hover and watch him. And with Trick's ex-wife, his manager, his business partner, and his mom all waiting in line to see him, Darla guilted Becky into staying with us a while. Soon we had Darla situated in her room. "Tom," she asked, "where's my phone?" "It's broken, hon." I forced a wink. "It wasn't quite as sturdy as you." "Could you call George?" That was out of left field. George Chavez is our friend in the police force. "Why, weren't you alone in the stairwell?" "Oh, sure, it was just a stupid accident." She waved it away. "Oh, whew. But George was going to stop by the store for the signing." She paused significantly. I shrugged. "So Maggie can tell him we're here." Darla, fussing with her blanket, checked the nightstand. "I just wish I had changed my shoes before we ran out." She sighed. "I had that pair of flats right under the counter. I wasn't thinking." "You couldn't know what would happen. Those high heels are no good for walking around." Becky glanced from her newspaper at the aforementioned shoes on the sill, one now with the broken heel and strap. "They were darling. Where'd you get them?" "Shoes? My last major splurge? In Green Hills?" Becky pulled her chair closer to Darla's bed, and off they went on a verbal tour of Nashville shoe stores. I returned to the waiting room, but saw everyone was gone. As I passed the nurse's station, I mentioned that Trick's sister was with Darla if they needed her. Asking about the others, I found that Ms. Kranig had left instructions to call her at the Henderson residence if there were any changes. Trick's mom was down the hall using the payphone. Back in Darla's room, Becky was saying, "My mom always defended him to the neighbors. When he got famous, it was somehow acceptable behavior." "I guess it was a thankless job," Darla said, being the dutiful child. "Yes." Darla noticed me. "Hon, I need a change of clothes and shoes. Can you run home and get those for me?" "But you have that lovely hospital gown." "Ah, but at some point we need to go home, and my dress is ripped." "But you don't need them now, do you?" "Now is perfect. Becky can stay with me meanwhile." Darla smiled big at me, but there was something else in her eyes. Becky rattled her newspaper. Well, I really should see how Trick is doing. Don't worry, I said. I told the nurses you're here, especially since the others left. The others left? Except your mom. She's using the phone. Ms. Kranig said to call with any news. She's at the house. At Trick's house? Becky rolled her eyes. She could at least pretend she's concerned. Becky didn't notice Darla first looking at her, then at me with raised eyebrows. I put my hands in my pockets and asked Darla what she wanted to wear. You know, skirt, blouse, shoes. Oh, maybe you can help these ladies out here and swing by Trick Henderson's house to get him some personal things too? That way they can stay near him. I'm sure Becky can give you the directions. Oh, sure. Becky looked like she was on the spot. I guess the housekeeper can get them for you. Thanks. I was on the spot, too. Okay, sure. So what else should I get? I'll write it down. Darla pulled a pen and scratch pad from her purse. Wait, you had paper? Sure, need some? Like 2 hours ago. You didn't ask. Darla arched that eyebrow she does, then scribbled out a note and handed it to me. I was trying to figure out the message when the nurse came to check Darla's temperature. Doing all right? Darla nodded and mumbled, thermometer in mouth. Uh-huh. I looked at the note again before tucking it in my shirt pocket. Darla had written down 3 items. Night of wreck, birthday party, call George. Well, I didn't need to bother our friend and the police. If Darla suspected one of these people of foul play, I could certainly figure it out for myself. And that's it for this episode. Be sure to come back for next week's installment of Don't Fall for That Trick, a Bookcases mystery by Chris Well. Visit me online and claim your free copy of First Shot, 10 Stories by Chris Well. That's at studiowell.com. See you there.
Thanks so much for being with us today. We hope to see you again next week.